Hello everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to do something slightly different. We're going to say, we're going to ask Grok some questions about English chess. So, this should be an interesting video. So the way that Grok is a bot, it's like an AI bot, and it's based on these large language models. So the way that large language models work, it's a large language model, that is what it is. The way the large language models work is you pump them with loads of information, you give them loads of information, you bring it all together. And essentially it's grabbing stuff off the internet and bringing it together in a way that it best can and give you an objective answer based on that information. Some of this information is flawed, as we will probably see. So let's ask it some questions about so I just asked the question, will Zoe Varney, this is the last one I've asked, will Zoe Varney gain a WIM title chess? And it goes on to say, I mean I could babble on, but I'm going to just say the conclusion. Zoe Varney has a realistic chance of achieving the WIM title if she continues to improve her rating and secures the necessary norms through strong tournament performances. Her current rating of 2025 is a hurdle, but with her experience, coaching sport and active participation in competitive chess, she could close the gap over the next few years. Her recent WFM title and involvement in high-level events like the European Championships indicates she's on the right track. But achieving the WIM title will require sustained effort, strategic tournament selection, and consistent performance against stronger opponents. So it kind of sits on the fence really. As regard, also mentions Bodhana, Gukesh, and other promising players. Let's ask another. Let's go from Zoe. Let's go. What about Bodhana? Will Bodhana ever become world champion? Will Bodhana ever become British champion? Maybe. Ever become British champion at chess? I think she will. But what will Grok say? Bodhana Sivanandan is exceptionally promising chess prodigy, and at just 9 years old, she's already making waves that suggest she could one day claim the British Chess Championship title. Here's a breakdown of her potential to achieve this based on her current trajectory and the context of championships. Remarkable achievements at a young age, endorsement from experts. GM Judith Polgar, the strongest female player in history, has mentored Bodhana, indicating her high potential. Bodhana has explicitly stated her ambition to become the youngest grandmaster, aiming to surpass Mishra's record of 12 years 4 months and to compete for the World Championships. So I think if Bodhana ends up competing for the female World Championship, that would count as a failure. So I would say she wasn't good enough. I don't think she's got the ambition to be women's world champion, but perhaps she has as well. Obviously, that's a separate question. But yeah, I think she's aiming for very ambitious targets. Likely, this is British Championships we're talking about, right? Short term, next 3 to 5 years, Bodhana's current rate in progress suggests she could realistically compete for the British Women's Championship by her early teens, especially if she continues gaining 100 to 200 rating points annually. I think she could compete for it this year because she just got a 2400 performance, and I think the top rated British player in the women's player, is someone like Harriet Hunt, who's around actually maybe even lower than 2400. So I think she's realistically got a chance. Long term, 5 to 10 years, the Open British Championship is a tougher goal. Exactly, of course it is. Requiring a rating likely above 2600 to compete with top GMs. If she achieves her goal of becoming a Grandmaster by 12, she could be a contender for the Open title by her late teens, 2030. So what's that, 5 years away, but she's 16. I disagree with that. I think I'd be more positive about her prospect. I think if she's got realistic goals to be world champion, she's got to be realistically competing for the British Championship by the time she's 13, 14, which isn't this year, which is 10. It's also a 9-round tournament, so it's fairly random anyway. You know, you'd probably get up there based on the Swiss system. even at tens, he might have a chance this year of actually getting in the, maybe the having a chance in the final stages. Given her extraordinary talent, endorsements from chess luminaries, and relentless drive, it's highly likely Bodhana Sivanandan will become a British chess champion, potentially the women's champion within 5 years and the Open champion within a decade, assuming she maintains her trajectory. Her ability to defeat title players at 8-9, combined with her ambition to surpass Magnus Carlsen, suggests she has the potential to not only win the British title but also compete on the global stage. However, chess is unpredictable, and her success will depend on sustained improvement, managing pressure, and navigating the competitive field. Yeah. For now, she's already a phenomenon. Her performance at the 2024 Chess Olympiad, well, she was disappointing there, but it's not aware of her results. Some of the information is missing. So obviously it gives you an answer based on the information it can find. Can't always find everything. So they're progressing all the time, these large language models, and maybe some of them are more proficient than others. Let's go to another side of the spectrum. What about Keith Arkle? Because he was actually the reason why I was inspired to do this, and I was asking about, he was asking actually the question, who is the most successful senior tournaments exclusively at senior, who's the most successful English chess player exclusively at senior events. So you're not counting the overall picture. Let's start that answer. Who is the most successful English chess player at exclusively or solely? I'm not sure how to spell. How do you spell solely? Should know how to do that. I mean, I think my brain's going. At English, at senior events, not just senior events. Full stop. Senior chess tournaments, chess competitions. Here's tournaments, competition, more or less the same thing, right? Exclusively senior chess competitions. I tend to find that with these large language models, they tend to be like biased towards, this one tends to be biased towards the more famous names. Because I think the way the model works, number of articles create some kind of bias within the system. So the more famous players will get like a boost. Magnus Carlsen, any kind of question about who like the best players at any kind of format, you're probably going to get Magnus Carlsen, which is probably true anyway. And that's probably true here because they're coming up with Michael Adams. I think I did type this question in before. Defining the most successful English chess player in senior competition, typically for players over 50 or 60, depending on the event, requires looking at titles, ratings, and performances in senior specific tournaments. Based on available data, Michael Adams stands out as the most successful English player in senior chess competitions. I think Keith is the winning most in terms of he's won more senior events than any other English GM, possibly any other GM, full stop. But in terms of it's how you rate success. Adams has won a world senior title. I think Keith has won a European senior title. But it's like, how do you grade success? Like, it all comes down to that factor, which is subjective. But Adams, born in 1971, won the world. Obviously, Adams is not just a good senior player, just a good player, full stop. He just won the English championship. He's just one of the best players in the world, essentially, and certainly one of the best English players. A significant achievement in senior chess, his peak rating of 2761. That's a seriously high peak rating, highest ever by an English player. Exactly. And we don't even have any players over 2700 at the moment. His consistent performance as one of England's top players, even into his 50s, underscores his dominance. Other notable English players like Nigel Short have also competed in senior events, but Short's primary success. So it doesn't actually mention Keith in this. I think I did the last time I did the question. Keith came up. So sometimes it depends how you word the question. Keith came up as like the third pick after Adams and Hebden. Who has won the most? Let's try who has won the most senior chess competitions. Let's try that. Which English chess player has won the most senior chess competitions? But I don't think volume necessarily relates completely to skill. If you play more tournaments than everyone else and you win a lot, it just means you're playing a lot, right? It doesn't necessarily mean you're better than other players, but you know it has some factor. I mean, it has some relevance, I would say. Well, I mean, honestly, I'm surprised he's not mentioned Keith. You know, because I know for a fact he's won more senior tournaments than anyone else. But in terms of the quality of the events, you could argue that people like Adams and John Nana are possibly ahead of him. So yeah, it doesn't mention Keith at all. It mentions Paul Littlewood. It mentions Mark Hebden. Again, I think a lot of its information is a little bit flawed. I'll be honest. On this model, you might need a better model. Let's try one. Let's do a direct comparison. Let's compare Keith with John Ems, because Keith and John Ems are closely matched. So who is a better chess player? Keith Arkle or John Ems? It'll probably go for John Ems because he's got a higher peak rating. But it will kind of sit on the fence. It gives some arguments in favour of Keith as well. Based on, I've done these questions before. Not this specific question comparing Keith to John Ems. Comparing Keith and John Ems as chess players involved. It gets quite addictive. All this asking it stupid questions. A lot of it, I think these models are based for stupid. They really don't really help you if you're intelligent. I think they're really meant for stupid people like me, right? Because a lot of the answers it gives are stuff that you can just find out if you just use Google, or you might know already. You know, it's just giving you common sense answers. Comparing Keith and John Ems as chess players involves looking at their achievements, playing styles, and career trajectories. Both English grandmasters with significant contributions to chess, but their strengths and records differ in key ways. Based on available data, here's a breakdown. Keith Arkle became a Grandmaster in 1995 after earning norms at Ostend 1990, Parthenon 1993 and the French League Championship 1995. Also doesn't mention he got 4 GM norms in a row at age 50, or in his early 50s. Won the English Chess Championships in 2008. That's correct, yeah, in Liverpool, which is where it's going back to, in St George's Hall. You see, some of its information is wrong, which I've noticed before. So it goes tied for first, but won the title after playoff. Well, technically that's correct. He was awarded a title after playoff. Or possibly they did a prize giving before the playoff, I'm not exactly sure. But Keith would know better than I do, but that was against Stuart Conquest. Well, what happened was Stuart won the playoff. So it makes it sound like Keith won the playoff. Stuart Conquest won the playoff, so he was awarded the title of British champion, which is one that we all want. So well done to Stuart. But Keith was awarded the title of English champion. It's like when I won the English Blitz Championship last year, because the guy who won the British Championships, Eldar, is not technically English. He's Ukrainian, but somehow he qualifies to play the British Championships. So he won the British Championships, but I became the English Championships. It's like you're getting this kind of like, you know, silver platter. Playing star, peak elo rating. What is it? I mean, we can go through all this, but let's just see what the conclusion is. Conclusion. Keith Arkle's. Oh right, Keith will like this answer. Not sure John Ems will be down with this. Keith Arkle is likely the stronger player overall, particularly due to his sustained competitive activity, documented peak rating, and recent success in senior championships. His endgame expertise and ability to maintain a professional chess career through tournament play give him an edge. However, John Ems is a formidable player with a comparable GM pedigree, notable wins, and significant contributions through coaching and authorship. In their primes, they were likely evenly matched, but Arkle's ongoing tournament dominance tips the scales in his favour today. If you're looking at historical specific game context, M's 1999 win over Arkle shows he could hold his own indirect encounters. Not sure where that was. That might have been, was that in Scarborough, British Championships? Might have been the Cara Khan, right? Panel Botvinnik attack, but I could be wrong about that. I don't know. I've just typed this question in now. Okay, 1999. Let's go back a lot of years, right? Let's ask another question, a less controversial one, right? What is the nicest? Because you know I'm obsessed with British chess. What is the nicest British chess championship venue? I reckon it'll say Torbay, or it'll say Scarborough as one of them. Nicest British chess championship venue. Okay. Let's see what it comes up with. It's quite interesting, some of the stuff it comes up with. It's hard to crown one British chess championship venue as the absolute nicest, since preferences vary based on aesthetics, accessibility and atmosphere, and there's no definite ranking or comprehensive review comparing all venues. However, based on available information and historical context, St George's Hall in Liverpool, that's where we're going to. I think it's got some recency bias as well. Because I typed a question in earlier, who's the most talented chess player of all time? It comes up with Magnus Carlsen, surprise, which could well be correct, of course. But I think, you know, it's a lot of the stuff is based on, it's getting bombarded with articles, you know, stuff. So obviously this is the most recent one, so it's getting bombarded with articles. Yeah, again, I think if it knew it was in Torquay, it would probably rate Torquay as possibly the best, the nicest. But it's coming up with Liverpool, which of course is a nice venue, don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm looking forward to doing the commentary. I'm off tomorrow, actually, going to Liverpool tomorrow. That should be fun. So look out for the commentary, by the way. It should be more stuff like this, you know, kind of entertainment. You know, a bit of fun. I don't take myself too seriously. I'm just looking to have a bit of fun. It's all good. It's all good, right? Okay, what about who will win the British Championships 2025? Actually, no. Let's ask about younger players, right? Will Stanley Badisconi become a chess grandmaster? Because he's playing in the British Championships. Probably sit on the fence again. No, he'll say that it's quite likely, but not definite. If I had to guess, predicting whether Stanley Badisconi will become a chess grandmaster is speculative, but we can assess his potential based on available information. Gives a lot of information. He's not yet at their pace. Given his current rating, age and recent achievements, Stanley has a strong chance of becoming a grandmaster if he continues to improve and competes in norm-eligible tournaments. However, it's not guaranteed. Chess is well, exactly. It's not guaranteed. I think he will, definitely, 100%. But what about maybe more 50? Because I think Stanley's a bit younger, right? What about more 50-50 people? I think who are a bit older, like Jonah Willow. Will he do it? Obviously, he's got a good chance. Or could I type several people in at the same time? Harry Grieve and Marcus Harvey become chess grandmasters. You know, will it understand what I mean by several people at the same time? I'll also put Brandon Clark in. So this is one of the things I'm obsessed by. One of the questions I'm typically obsessed by. I've discussed a lot on my YouTube channel. Will these people become chess grandmasters? Obviously, recently Matthew Wadsworth, who's of that generation, did brilliant. That's great. So he's buried that particular bogey man. But what about these guys? Oh, Richard Pert, I should mention. Brandon Clark. So it might give me a very long answer here, like if it's having to go through all of them. Right. No. Ah, okay. It's reached my limit. I didn't realise. Okay, so that's one maybe we could do on another video. But anyway, I hope you enjoy that information. Yeah, I thought it was interesting, some of the stuff it said, and you know, obviously AI is in its early phases. You know, the scary thing about AI is it's going to just get stronger. So the danger is that it becomes so powerful it exceeds humans in all activities. You know, currently, obviously, chess computers are far beyond our abilities to play chess, and that possibly they might become much more skillful than us at writing novels, at answering scientific questions, you know, music, at drawing already they're very advanced, um, and essentially humans will become essentially redundant in that respect. Although I think we'll still enjoy doing creative stuff. We still enjoy playing chess, which is a creative activity, even though we know we can't match computers. We're not as strong as computers. We play in a different way to computers. Computers approach it in a different way to us. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that video. Please leave your comments down below about what you thought of the video. Did you find it an entertaining video? Does it inspire you to do something similar? Do you have any interesting questions for a follow-up video? Because I think I'm going to try and do more than one of these, because mainly focus on English chess players. Could do one about foreign chess players. So obviously if I sign up for premium, it's another thing, they can get more questions in theory. I would say this whole thing is quite addictive. A lot you notice that as well in the typical posts on Twitter, on X, sorry. There'll be a lot of people asking Grok. You know, one classic question recently: who is the most famous person to visit my profile? I tried asking it, who is the least famous? Probably me, right? Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, and please like and subscribe so we get promoted on the YouTube algorithm. And that's it. Goodbye.